Dave Doeren, the head football coach at North Carolina State University, or NC State, depends on who you ask. Coach, thank you so much for taking time. You're not a first-time caller on this show. We have loved having you over the years on 24 Hours Nothing But Net. So thank you so much for making time in a busy spring to be with us.
Oh, it's my honor. Appreciate the invite and look forward to the conversation.
That you are a hot commodity in the offseason once again this year, and NC State continues to get better and better under your watch. I know for me as a grad and as a fan of you personally and the football team, I just love what you've been able to do and how much fun it is to watch the team continue to progress. What have you enjoyed the most about your building process with this team?
I think it's always going to come back to the relationships with the coaches and players for me. No matter where you're coaching or, we do this because we're competitors, and the sport, just is in the blood to the point where you can't leave it. But the reason that you eventually choose this profession is because you love the camaraderie of it. You love the mentorship of it. And that hasn't changed for me in 29 years. It's still the player that comes in and thanks you for something, or the old player that calls you that having a kid or got a promotion and they want you to know. Those are the kind of things that remind you of why you do it. Because there's a lot of reasons now in today's world to not feel that anymore. It's really been, the sport's changed a lot in the last 18 months. So I try to remember the reasons I'm in this. And it's nice when they come back full circle and players are in your office just thanking you for what you did and how much you meant to them.
I am always fascinated by the leadership and the organization of football in general. You have allowed me to go to spring practice. I've been in fall practice. I've been on the sideline. You've always let me kind of say, "Hey, coach, can I just come to practice?" And you're like, "Sure." Yeah, I've been in the tower watching practice. I mean, I love seeing how things happen. How do you do it? Like, for the people that don't play football or don't, know how you manage 130 guys, like what's the principal parts of keeping your team organized and everyone on the same page?
This is a long answer probably. There's a lot of people involved in practice, a lot. And so you have to be a really good communicator for one, as a head coach. You have to make sure people know the vision and how things are supposed to run and the timing, and you have to delegate properly, because as a head coach, you're not going to coach anyone if you're constantly just putting fires out all the time. And so I try to, do a good job communicating with my folks, and then they keep things from happening. We instruct the players. We talk about the timing of things so that when we get out there, it's organized and efficient. Like I tell everyone, I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like I want to be out there and get work done and work smart and hard. And so everyone has to buy into that kind of philosophy. Ultimately, as a head coach, I'm responsible for a ton of things, but one of the most important things is who works for me. And so over time, going into my 13th year as a head coach, I've learned what I need around me. And so I have a really good staff that I think accentuates things. There's certain things I don't like, and those guys take that away from me and let me focus on the things I do like. And then you just got to find people that are passionate about it, so that it's not, people like to say it's a grind. Like to me, it's hard work, but you got to love what you're doing in this sport. There's so many days as a football player you're not playing. Unlike baseball, basketball, that these teams that have 50 to 100 games, like we get 12 games in 365 days in a year, and that's not very many for all the training we go through. So you have to really enjoy the non-game day activity in order to be good at this sport and good as a coach. And so you just, for me, like the best 2 hours of my day are practice. Like my phone's in my locker. Nobody can mess with me. I'm on the field with my guys, and, you're smelling the grass, you're feeling the weather. I don't know, it's a sanctuary for me. So I wish we had more of it.
I love the sanctuary, because that is exactly what it is. It's you and your guys all trying to push to the common goal. I'm going to use this time to ask you, because I really like going to the offensive coordinators meeting sometime, and I wouldn't mind watching some film one day. So if you can just sneak me in the back, I'd love to be a little fly on the wall and see how it works, because I'm intrigued by the leadership and the management of it all. What do you say about that, Coach? You think you might sneak in there sometime?
Oh yeah, Robert and I is one, you would enjoy him. His personality is unique. But yeah, he's a teacher. He's an old school but young soul, and interesting guy, very creative guy. Just came on from Syracuse, was at Virginia with Bronco Mendenhall, and then BYU with Bronco Mendenhall, and then Texas Tech with Mike Leach. Was at Arizona with Rich Rodriguez. So he's got a lot of different offensive, philosophies kind of blended into what he thinks is right. And so it's fun watching him because unlike most of the coaches I've worked with, he has a lot of answers for problems that come up because he's been trained by a lot of different guys. And it's fun to see that, and everything he does centers around what can the players do instead of, hey, you have to do this. This is how I do it. Obviously, there's some give and take in that because you have to have a DNA, but he really tweaks what he has for the guys in the room, and I like that about him a lot. And excited to see what he brings to the offense. When
Yeah.
you lose the offensive coordinator to be a head coach like we just did for the second time, gives you a chance to really look at what you have and how can you tweak things to be more successful.
I'm getting excited thinking about it. I can see that
Yeah,
scoreboard and Carter Finley lighting up this year, which should be a lot of fun for everyone.
yeah,
Not to just the defense, Coach, but I'm all offense. So if I had any extra time, I might want to poke my head in there, but probably not.
yeah. Well, we led the league in defense 2 years in a row, so you don't want to skimp out on that around here. That's something we really take pride in. But speaking of scoreboards, we are getting the second largest scoreboard in the ACC installed here right now over the summer. So it's fun watching that process out my
Yeah.
window.
It's exciting. It's a fun atmosphere. I've had a chance to experience tailgating and everything around the facility. I've been in, places that you've allowed me to go in the stadium that most people don't get to. So it's very cool. So I'm so grateful for that. The biggest headline right now for you and your family and you and your wife Sarah is the $1.25 million gift that you gave to NC State. If anybody ever wants to question how much you love the university, all they have to do is read about why you and Sarah decided to make this gift and how it will impact and influence students on campus. It's just absolutely remarkable. And just for full transparency, I want everyone to know that, and it gives me chills thinking about this because this meant so much to me, Dave, that about the day that it was announced at 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe, by 10:20, you had texted me to tell me that the announcement had been made and this gift had been made to help resources on campus. Why don't you tell a little bit about why you decided to make this gift with Sarah, your wife, and why it was important to you and your family?
Oh, well, my oldest son, Jacob, now is 23. And so for 20 years of his life, we've been learning about, special needs resources and how to help him as a student, because he was diagnosed on the spectrum at that age and had a genetic disorder that put him on the spectrum. And, we've been in really good educational systems. We've been in really poor ones. Some have incredible people, some have none. And so we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. He's been labeled, he's been told what he can't do. And as parents, it's a learning experience. You're trying to figure it out and fight for your child, but at the same time, you want to trust the professionals. And so it's just been a lot. And we were really fortunate here in Wake County to come across some special people, that put us in the right direction. And we got him into a program at Lewisburg College that just had some angels sent down from God really to help him in this program, Learning Partners. And Stephanie Tolbert was running the program, who's actually one of the people that's applying to run our program. I don't know if she'll get hired, but she's awesome. But she's the one that introduced us that there is a good way to do this. And Jacob got a 3.75 at Lewisburg, got admitted to App State. App State has a program called As You Are that mentors people very similar to the one we're going to do. And as he was there and was having success, As You Are came to Raleigh and asked Sarah and I to donate to their program to help it continue. And I was like, dang, I thought this was something that the, state was funding. And they were like, well, they helped us kick it off, but now we have to fundraise every year to keep it going. And I was like, my wheels just started turning. I'm like, if we're going to be donating to something like that, NC State needs to be the school that's doing it, And so we gave to their program, and then I quickly called our chancellor and said, I'd love to meet with you. I have an idea that can help our student body, and I think it's needed in the state, because I just went through an application process in the state of North Carolina with all this. We have 17 schools in the UNC system. There was only one, that had a program that fit what Jacob needed. And so he was awesome about it. He put a task force together, and they, 4 or 5 months later, got Sarah and I together, and we started working on what it would cost and how many kids it could work with. And once we got it to a point where we could manage it financially, and it fit what our vision was to the best that they could do, we put put a name on it and got it out there. And so now they're in the hiring process, getting all the people hired. And I think this spring, so a year from now, it will be fully operational. This fall, it's going to just be a couple students that are kind of in the test program, and then we'll be launching it in January.
That's remarkable. And everything you started with, my husband and I have been through the same things with our son Frankie, and we're trying to, provide some resources through Special Olympics to allow those with intellectual disability and challenges to be able to compete. And so we're trying to do the same thing. But the part about our relationship that I love is that you recognize right away that as I've been trying to help NC State come up with a life program, and I've gone through some steps to try to do that you immediately let me know that you were doing this so that, it wasn't in replace of what we're trying to do with a similar program like Clemson that Frankie went through and graduated. It's a different program, but still a need at NC State, because what you have done is help check a box that gets us closer to NC State fulfilling its land grant mission, which is very similar to Clemson's. That is to serve all populations of the state. So it's an incredible leadership job by you and Sarah to do that, Dave.
Well, I appreciate it. It was more about wanting to help other families that are going through what we are. There's over 500 students currently at NC State that would be able to utilize this, that are already here. So, this is a way for a small population of our current students, be 10% of the 500 that I know of, that could apply and be a part of it and get one-on-one mentoring, tutoring, have a safe place where they know they can go and have people look after them that can help negotiate and communicate for them at times when they're nervous about how to say things to people, and look at emails that they may need to send professors, and help advocate for what they need, and talk to, different people on campus. Because, for a lot of things my son deals with, it's more about the fear of communicating with people you don't know, and how to communicate, and how to get their point across, because they're not going to be able to get in a face-to-face long conversation with people at times, and so just having that available. It's funny, like when we did this, we didn't look at it like we're trying to be leaders, we're trying to be servants and help others. And the number of parents that have reached out and written us letters and emails, just knowing that, hey, there's a place now for our kid if he can get into state, and just want to thank us for providing like a light at the end of the tunnel, because their son or daughter has goals that at the time they didn't think were real, is cool. Like that has been the coolest part for us, just knowing that there's parents that have that weight kind of lifted and a carrot hung out there in front of their child.
I think it's absolutely remarkable, because there is a need, and there are people that somehow may not have the resourcing or have the education that you and Sarah have, or the financial resources to be able to do this. That's why it's so exceptional. And NC State continues to get lucky to keep you every year. I mean, and this, I hope, will keep you around for even longer, because you keep winning and doing things the right way.
Well, that's what it comes down to in this sport. Obviously, I know that comes with staying. So it's a two-way street. They've been good to me, and I've been loyal to them. And, when I came here 10 years ago, we made the move here because it was a fit, and I knew leaving Northern Illinois, I'd be taking on a big program. I wanted to make sure that I had the right quality of life for my family and for me, and wanted a fan base that I could fit in with, being, a little bit blue collar myself and redneckish, I guess you'd say, and like to put on boots and jeans and hang out with country folk. This was the right fit for me, and if I could stay here and finish my career, I'd consider it a blessing, so just got to keep doing the best I can in this new world of NIL and transfer portal, and see if I can make it work. It's changed more than I've ever seen anything change in my profession.
Well, if you ever had aspirations to coach in the NFL one day, this is kind of what it feels like to me. I mean, roster management and,
Yeah.
the NIL space. How have you navigated some of that? And what are you thinking about this year? Like, give us a little update on, or a projection on what you think the team's going to look like.
Yeah. The roster management piece has kind of always been fun for me. Like, I enjoy that part of it. And the transfer portal honestly doesn't bother me. Like, I don't mind that kids have a chance to go somewhere if they're not playing. Most of the kids that leave the programs they're in are that, or it's a coaching change and they don't like a new coach. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's the NIL part that has made this really dirty. And NIL was created, as you know, because of a video game. The O'Bannon brothers, felt like they should be getting money for having their name, image, and likeness used in a video game. And I think everybody was like, yeah, that makes sense, and for a kid that sells his jersey or goes and does autographs not to get money, that doesn't make sense. Like, that was a thing that I think was built on good intentions that's created terrible, terrible repercussions. There's a lot of bad actors out there that are illegally using NIL to recruit players from rosters to other rosters. And they're using the transfer portal as the way of getting them there. And so for me, it's not the roster management of how do you replace a guy that transfers. It's, the space that's now been created. It's just not what it's supposed to be. And it's not like the NFL because of that. As you know, professional athletes sign contracts that they can't get out of. Whatever their 3-year deal says they're going to get, that's what it is, and they have their year where they have to play well and get a bigger contract or become a free agent. Like, these guys don't have that. They can get an NIL deal, and then if they don't like what's going on, they jump in the portal and they're gone, and there's nothing keeping them to us, but they're getting all the incentive on their side right now. And so it's as a coach, it's very difficult, because there isn't anything other than a scholarship that we have on them. And it's really been devalued in this process, I think, which is sad because, they get a lot educationally. I mean, you add up what you spend on a player, you talk about his room, board, housing fees, tuition, books, nutrition, weightlifting, all the technology, the massage therapy, the different meals they get, all the things, it adds up to over 100,000 per player per year. And that's 400 to 500,000 over that time period that's invested in these guys. I'm a guy that actually likes NIL for what it was created for. I'm really against what it's become used for, and so, for a guy that's a great player or a female that's a great athlete that can get a shoe company or a car dealer to put their name on something and give them some money, great. But somehow get it out of recruiting, please.
That is as well stated and explained as I've heard in football or in basketball about the challenges of the portal and the NIL and the benefits of it. But I agree with you. The educational part of it has been devalued. I don't know how you can go to 4 different schools and graduate with a degree. That to me is amazing. But I want to just say this about NC State, because I've watched NC State under your leadership change in so many different ways. From an athletic standpoint, Dave, every facility and everything football has is just off the charts. Now you're getting a new scoreboard, which is going to be phenomenal. Because I attend some Clemson football games, I know what that scoreboard can do to the environment. I've watched it, and you experienced it as well last year. But I also want to say this, from a fan and from a graduate, how proud I am that you have bolstered the university through your academic gift of 1.25 million that you and Sarah came to that. And I'm proud of NC State for making that become such an important part of student life and helping the current students. Now I'm going to ask you to help me, of course, with a life program, which is going to be next. NC State knows I'm after them for that. But I'm so grateful for everything that you've done and the way you represent, and I'm so proud to be your friend. And I'm grateful for our relationship. And I thank you for helping us with 24 hours of nothing but net. This is year 5, and we're continuing to try to make progress towards that $1 million goal.
Thanks for all the kind words and comments, and feelings are mutual. And it's always, in this profession, you meet a lot of people in the media side, and you don't always end up with friendships and those those things. So I do appreciate, you have no reason other than being an alum to speak so well of me. So I appreciate that. It means a lot, and we're proud of you. Just so you know, our school and our fan base, every time you're around, you can see people light up. So what you're doing is great work, and I hope you raise the money, and anything I can do to help you in your cause, I will.